Okay, everybody. Hey, welcome. This is Aaron Norris with PRSA Western District, and this is, I think, our first webinar. One of the things that we are going to try to do as a board is provide more leadership support. And one of the things that we keep hearing is that people want to a little bit of feedback and suggestions on awards. And last year happened to be a year that the Inland Empire chapter went completely digital, and so did the Orange County chapter. But we went on the cheap in the Inland Empire by using Dropbox, and Orange County went the more expensive route. I think we both did new awards, like as in the physical trophies, and we reworked pricing, and it's just been a lot of work. So today I am lucky enough to have Jenny Wedge with the Orange County PRSA chapter and Hillary Angel with the Inland Empire, and we're going to chat a little bit. If you have questions along the way, this is a lot more, conversational. So feel free to type in the question box, and as we're on specific topics. So welcome, you two. Thank you for doing this with me today. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. Thanks, Aaron, for coordinating it.
Heck yeah. Well, we have a lot to cover in an hour, and I know this could very easily take three if we really want to dig into stuff. So let's start with space selection. I've noticed since the economy's gotten better, it's been really hard to choose spaces. And just really fast, Ginny, do you guys typically use the same space every time, or do you look for a new space each award ceremony?
We use a new space each award ceremony, and it's pretty much up to the awards chair to determine that location.
Okay. Do you is there any reason why you think doing a different spot is it make it more exciting or?
Yeah, so I think, tend to try something different each year that might draw people to a new area in our county. And, there's several things to take into consideration, including, access to the location, parking, things like that. But it's used as sort of part of the theme of how we create our event.
So you tie it into a theme?
Yes, we tend to tie it into the theme.
That's not something I even wrote down in my notes, is that we should cover brand.
Yeah, well, themes, definitely. I've always admired Orange County's chapter because they do unique themes every year. I've seen the Roaring 20s, the Roaring Proto Awards. There's always been a fantastic theme. I think that's important for other chapters to consider, even in the Inland Empire, is putting together some type of, and encourage people to dress in that attire and having the entertainment around it. So I think you guys did a really good job of doing the themes.
Thank you.
Oh boy. Okay. And the Inland Empire, we've moved around quite a bit, and we've just happened to found one space that's really inexpensive and makes sense for us. I don't know. Maybe we just have a lack of spaces in our area. I don't know.
Yeah, from the Inland Empire standpoint, we've had the awards ceremony over the years, like in hotel ballrooms. We've had it at restaurants with great banquet space. But the last few years, we've had it it's called Center Stage Theater, and it's actually in Fontana, so you guys can look up Center Stage Theater. But it's a great venue. They usually have theater performances there, so they do have a nice stage for the presentations, and then it has kind of more dinner theater seating rather than just general kind of ballroom seating, but it's decorated nice and it has kind of a unique atmosphere. So they have bar area, and so it's a really great space. We've done a survey. We did a survey last year, and the response was they love this venue, but they would like to see something different. So I think after this year's ceremony, we will be looking for locations, but I think the options in the Inland Empire are limited to more ballroom and meeting space. We may look at using, going to a golf course or using some of those country clubs as a different idea.
I've heard it said quite a few times in the just seminars in general, in that people are wanting experiences. I know for me, I produce a lot of events, and last year was probably my most difficult year because people aren't reading emails. I did a mailer, I did a ton of emails, but one of the most effective things was us getting on the phone and calling our customers. And they would often say, "Oh, I didn't know what was going on." And I know for a fact they're on our, our whitelisted email list. They get our mailers. So I don't know. I don't know if that conversation has happened with either chapter, but that the idea of an experience, and now I guess I understand a little bit more with the branded themes, making it a little bit more fun and engaging. But I don't know. Have you guys sort of experienced that?
Uh, This is Hillary. I think it's important for people to consider, as you're talking about the experiences, you know, here in the Inland Empire, there is Air Museum, so you can go to or your nearby attractions and see if there's opportunity to do that. Kind of think outside the box rather than just a still room for an award ceremony.
This is Jenny. I think that the experience is important, and it gives us an opportunity to work with partners in the community and say, hey, we've got 200-300 public relations professionals that are going to come to your facility, and it gives them the opportunity to see it and talk about it to their friends after the fact. But it is a fun way to kind of experience all the county has to offer, whether it's a golf course or a museum or a hotel. But one of the benefits of looking at the different spaces is the decor and the ambiance that's offered, which sounds like Inland Empire has had in the last couple of years, but oftentimes it cuts the cost by finding a space that already has built-in backdrops. We used the Lion Air Museum a couple of years ago, and then there's aircraft on display and things like that that you don't really need to add too much to decor, and you can save on that cost, and it gives people an experience at the same time.
That adds up, doesn't it, Hillary?
Yeah, well, exactly, and I think it's the location. You know, at the center stage, they don't charge us a fee to rent the space, so it's awesome. But you know, and that I know as part of the hidden cost, this is really important that when other chapters are considering their awards location, that really you can see, or you can pitch and say, hey, we have 300 PR people. You know, this is a great way for exposure for you. Maybe you can help discount the price or whatever it is. But always look at the location fees.
Well, I really like this. I hadn't even wrote that in my notes, sort of a space as part of the branding and the experience, and it definitely saves money. And just some quick tips on spaces. University space can sometimes be very nice, but in my experience, you're typically dealing with a minimum of 3 different companies within the university. You've got facilities, you've got catering, and then sometimes the space itself, and they refuse to work together. And a lot of times it's a lot more expensive. Theaters, like we have the beautiful Fox Theater in Riverside, and unfortunately they don't give you a discount like Hillary was saying. If you do a hotel, they're basically giving you the space for free. But at this theater, I'm again having to work with 3 different entities to make it happen, and we have to, you know, all of us are doing this volunteering, so time is money and frustration. And there was a really bad habit of ours in the Inland Empire that we burn people out. This is so much work, and it's got to be easy, or people are just like, not only am I not going to show up to the awards anymore, I'm not even going to go to the luncheons. I'm so burned out. So just be careful. Sometimes you might end up spending more and then making your life a lot crazier. So let's talk about going digital. I just noticed that the Silver Anvils also went digital this year. And there's sort of the conversation between a Dropbox versus Omni. So let's start with Omni. That's the name of the platform, right, Jenny?
Yeah, that's the platform we went with. There's a couple out there, but that was the one that the LA chapter had been using, and so we'd heard good things, and so that's how we selected to try them out that first year, which was last year.
Okay. And is there any specific reasons why you chose Omni over the others?
I think the prices were very similar, and Omni had other users in the PR field than did the other 1 or 2 vendors that could provide a similar service. So we just kind of went with, you know, what we knew.
And can you share information on pricing?
Yes. So Omni, and I think most of them, you know, give you a discount up front if you sign on for multiple years. But since it was our first time, and since our chapters don't exactly have large budgets, we didn't want to commit to, you know, more than 1 year, depending on how it would go, which is good because this year we're not using them. However, it was $3,000, 3000, for use of the platform, which provided customer service to set up the system with all your entries and data and details, and then you used it also for the reciprocal judging. and you could print out all the reports, all the entries, and download spreadsheets, that sort of thing. So it was efficient because it was already created and used in that fashion. There's obviously challenges getting things set up like that when you've never done it before, but they had customer service that would guide you through the setup process. I think that the paid platforms like Omni are maybe not as essential anymore because we have so many other online resources that are becoming more and more user-friendly, like Google Docs and Dropbox and so forth.
Yeah, and I've created, I'm sorry, watching this is just not going to be very interesting if you're watching this video later, but I've created a bit.ly link with a whole bunch of resources for people because we're going to talk about Dropbox in a second, but I scoured the web to see how it was a little scary going from the binders to digital and how do you communicate how to do it. And we did a host of things, but it's bit.ly/PRSA WD-webinar1. I just posted it in the chat for people who are with us live today. And when we have the YouTube, I'll put it in the notes section, but you can download a lot of stuff. But Hillary, I actually was president when I asked a huge favor because she's wonderful at doing events and just a lot of fun and just awesome. And this was one of the things that we tackled. So Hillary, share some experience, what people thought, the process, all that kind of fun stuff.
Well, we utilized Dropbox, and it was the first time that we went digital, and it was great. We had over 75 entries online, which was huge, and that was the most entries we've ever received. Over the years, I've been involved with our chapter for like 8-9 years, and obviously with the binder movement, people submitting, over the years it's declined because just lack of participation and just the time being spent putting together those binders, and also added additional costs to the chapter of mailing and coordinating boxes and mailing it to other chapters. But we went with the Dropbox route. We did look at Omni, but we thought it'd be a good opportunity just to at least educate our members of how to go digital. We the only challenge we had, I mean, there were some challenges, but it's just setting up the Dropbox, the individual folders, and staying organized in the different categories. And when the members did submit, we asked them to upload it and share it, and then email us to awards at PRSAIE, and I would be notified that they submitted something. And so it's up to that awards person to make sure you reply back to that member, say, yes, we got it, and tracking it. I actually created a spreadsheet, so every time someone submitted it, I uploaded it. But the only hiccup was with Dropbox is they can't pay through Dropbox. Right. And last year we did not do online payments for the entries. So I think we did, but it wasn't as strong as it can be for this year. But so those were some of the challenges. So I was tracking who uploaded what through Dropbox, and then checking with the treasurer and saying, this is everyone I have through Dropbox. Let's make sure we check the mail and we get payments. Yeah. So it was definitely, so I guess, Jenny, for Omni platform, is people can pay online and submit all at the same time?
You know what? I think that is a great question. I think they could, but we've been doing online payments for our events for a couple of years now. So I believe that we had it all integrated within our website so that when they entered, they could submit the payment online. But it may have actually been through our website versus through Omni.
Okay. Yeah, for the chapters listening and the event planners, Dropbox was a great opportunity. We got fantastic, we had record-breaking entries, and it wasn't that bad with organization. But the only we did the free, but we ran out of space, so obviously I had to upgrade it immediately. So I recommend if you do Dropbox, do pay for the 2-month subscription. I think it's like $10 a month or $15, and but it was nice to be able to share that Dropbox link and give them our login information to the judging chapter, and they just went in there, and they were able to send that link to all their members and be able to judge from their own computer. And I think we had a great experience.
I think it was South Arizona that graded ours, and they were not expecting the turnout that we had, so they were a little bit irritated.
Yeah.
The one thing I did notice, just for everybody, I want to say that Silver Anvil limited their backup material to around 225 pages. So it was something last year that we capped probably a little bit too tight because we didn't want people.
Hmm.
I mean, I'm sure you've all seen the binders as well. You get this binder that's like a 3 inch, and it's just got so much stuff. You're like, no judge is
It's
ever
like
going to go
email
through this.
backups. I know.
Yeah, so it's a little bit overkill, but we'll probably relax that a little bit now that we know we're going to pay for the upgrade. Just something to think about. Um, I wanted to preface, we had a really good turnout last year also because we really looked at pricing. So I want to talk about some pricing a little bit. We had snuck up, I think within 4 years, our prices of entry had doubled. And some of that was just because it had gotten expensive. The awards themselves had increased by 2 times, I believe. I don't know if it was
Hmm.
oil prices, but it was something to think about. One of the reasons we went digital is we thought that we could end up lowering the prices. So Orange County, what do you charge your members for entry?
The entries are $85 per, and that's a member price, and that has been that rate for a number of years, but we have an early deadline that it's 85, and then it goes up to 125
Wow.
after
Wow.
with the second 2 weeks. So we try to give about 4 to 6 weeks to get the entries in, and then you get about 2 extra weeks if you go with the final deadline, which it can be a moneymaker. Not that we intend it to be that way, but the fact that it changes our timing of submitting all the entries or getting them ready for judging. So by having them come in later, it does bring in a bit more revenue, and a lot of people want that extra time, and they'll wait till the last minute.
Well,
And
the Inland Empire chapter, our entries are $45 for members, and then it goes up to $65 for late, and then for non-members it's $60 and goes up to $80. But yeah, I think we just saw a decrease in participation because it was getting costly for people, and with us lowering the price and launching a whole new campaign saying new trophy, new price point, new digital, I think that's what helped drive. But we made money on the awards. I mean, not significant overall, but I think our members were happy with the cost, and we did a survey, and they were pleased with how everything decreased.
well, to brag on Hillary a little bit, the year before she took over, we lost $3,000. So I know everybody likes honesty and candor. It went horribly, and it was a little scary how much money we lost, and it wasn't expected. And uh, I think every chapter really has to look at their membership and dissect it. So I know in the Inland Empire, about half of our chapter is made up of utility, government, healthcare, and education. They might not be as price sensitive as our individual members who are out on their own and independent. So everybody needs to take that into consideration. Just who's your audience, and if you lower that price, is there a way to do it and more people will turn out? It'll be interesting to see how this year goes. Really, nothing is changing. We're doing it in the same location, the same pricing point. We're going to tweak a few things, but right, Hillary, there's nothing else that's really changing.
No, not this year. I think it worked well this year, and I mean last year, and so hopefully, with the people moving forward on the board, that they keep with the structure that we started and maybe do a slight increase if they need to. But I think it, just like in other chapters, with boards changing and committees changing, sometimes things start going not as good, and just recognizing what kind of product do we have here, who are our members, and how can we bring this back to how it used to be. And I think chapters just need to consider all that.
One of the
Aaron,
things, yeah, go ahead.
sorry, if I could just add one thing on the pricing, because yes, our prices are higher, and we haven't seen a real change in the number of entries, maybe a few years back, but again, the prices haven't changed. One of the biggest recommendations on pricing is knowing your price points for every aspect of the awards program and having a budget so that you know how you're going to cover all of those costs in the end. And so we have lost money ourselves, and so we continue to try to enter into this process, looking at not only how much we're charging for entries, but what do our trophies cost. And I know you're covering all that, but I think there has to be this idea that you're planning an event and you need a budget, but you have no money. So how do you figure out what that budget's supposed to be and then how you're covering all those costs?
Yeah, that's really important. Well, one of the reasons I'm surprised that you guys move spaces so much is that there's a lot of aha stuff going on right now. Like the newest thing over the last 2 years for me, especially working in Orange County because I do events out there, is plug-in fees. So they want $1,500 just to plug into the wall if you are not using their audio-visual team, who happens to typically be a little bit more expensive. So it's just, I don't know. It's been really frustrating. And things like coffee, 7 years ago it was $30 a gallon, and now it's $80 a gallon in Southern California. It's insane. So switching spaces, it's also really dangerous if you didn't build a good team with carryover to be able to say, hey, did you ask that? Oh, did you look for this? Because things change too. So losing the $3,000, not only did we lose $3,000, we had a really poor turnout, and I had our lead sponsor say, this can't ever happen again because we had such low turnout. And
Yeah, and the buffet was all paper plates and plastic. I just couldn't
oh,
believe it. So horrible. I was not involved with that one.
no, she was not. It was really scary. Um, Okay, so we've got the pricing covered. We might as well go in sort of, I wanted to cover up on the screen if you're watching the video. It has this welcome video that we did. We took our best in show from the year before and we did a webinar of sort of how they won. But then also in the video, I did a screenshot and showed them how to apply. So instead of them emailing the awards chair, like, how do I do this again? And how do I do the naming protocol? I walk them through the entire process of uploading and then also paying for the entries, which was really good. So you get it done once, and then hopefully that's what people are watching to, I'm sure people watched it multiple times, which is good. They're doing it there instead of bugging our people. Awards. So we both changed awards. Sorry, one other thing. One of the reasons we didn't go with Omni, if we would have done that and historically our entry level, we would have added a $30 extra cost per entry we were looking at, so there was no way that we could afford a system like Omni. So that's just a really expensive cost to hide in this event.
Well, is there an opportunity for other chapters that everyone, I don't know, I guess more of a side discussion, it may not be, but for Omni, and if it's something that is Western District is able to help offset of all those costs, and then everyone goes in on it?
I looked into that and they said no.
Okay.
They wanted it
Oh.
per chapter, so that's how
Okay.
they make their money. And I'm hoping at some point, and it has gotten brought up, that National look at a national awards platform, because it would make sense, because if we now have sort of the best in the West that the Western District does, and if we're really trying to tie people into the bronze and the silver anvils, wouldn't it be great if be like, hey, this is the people who won, yes, we'll move them up and it's all digital. It'd be so awesome. But I know the Advertising Federation does that. They've invested in a nationwide platform for all of the advertising awards. So who knows? Maybe in our next round of upgrades, we'll see.
Cool.
We both upgraded awards. Orange County, Jenny, what was your approach to why you guys did that, and what were you looking at?
It really came about going back to just the cost of the overall event, and when the year before, let's see, in around 2012, I was involved in the committee, and the year prior to that, we had lost a lot of money and way over budget that, there was no initial budget that existed, and so we just basically dissected every aspect of the awards program and determined that we were paying way too much for a trophy. And the problem was we'd had that trophy for over 20 years, and it was very coveted, and people really liked it, or so we were told. And so we basically took on an effort to identify costs of other trophies that were much less expensive, and to be sensitive to, history of our chapter and our awards program. We presented options to the board. We made sure our board understood why we were changing it, so that if they did get questions about where did that trophy go and why did you change it, that they were armed with information about costs and how it was for the best interest of everybody involved, and it was still a nice quality trophy we were going towards that would recognize their work. And we did a survey to kind of understand what people thought and where we would go with it. And there's a handful of people that have been around a long time that were concerned about the change, but in the end, I'm not sure I've heard from anybody that I've heard more people say they did not like the old trophy than said they were so upset that we changed it. So it's funny. You get a lot of pushback and hearsay, and sometimes once you do stuff, it's really not a big deal. And in the end, we're still doing an award ceremony. People are still getting recognized for great work, and they have something that looks nice they can put on their shelf.
That's interesting. I think I have up on the screen. Is this your new award? It's a little bit tall.
No, that is the old $190 trophy that's also made by the same people that make the Oscars.
Wow.
Wow.
You guys go all out.
Well, I wasn't there 20 years ago whenever these were developed, but they are pretty fancy. You could see why people would have liked them. You're looking at the award ceremony that was in 2013 that I put together, and that was the last year we had that trophy. We couldn't get enough buy-in and support to change the trophy out the same year that I was planning the event, so we did the trophy this past year in 2014. And if you look on our homepage, I think you'll be able to see what that trophy looks like. And we went with two versions because we have the Protos and then we have an Award of Excellence. Can you go to, just click on our homepage, OCPRSA at the very top there.
Okay.
And it's going to come up on the screen in a second. Yeah, there you go. One more, maybe another. There you go. So we came up with this version, and these are still pretty nice quality. I know you and I have talked about this, Aaron, but they are glass.
Okay.
And so they have some weight to them, making them feel a bit more substantial, but we kind of came up with two versions. A silver base is a little bit more contemporary, and if you can kind of tell, we had it etched with that figure.
I did. I was going to say that.
I noticed that.
Smart.
That's great.
And that's how we kind of kept with the tradition in case anybody was concerned, but also if you put it on a trophy case next to the other awards, it would look like they were similar and they kind of went together. And they've been very well received. They're still, they're less than $100, but they're way more than half the price of what we were paying.
That's amazing. That's a great savings. That's crazy. How many entries do you typically have?
I'd say in the last 2 years, it's been less than historically, but we get probably about 80.
Oh, okay. Have you ever done?
That's an average, and in the past, we've gotten more than 100.
Okay. Wow, those are really nice, and that was really smart to sort of carry over that logo. And Hillary was in charge, and she developed a new logo last year that looks very beautiful too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's our new award. It is, Hillary, do you remember how much that is?
I think they're like, I knew you were going to ask me, I should have looked it up. Honestly, I think it's like $35 each or something. It's really inexpensive. So we did this is like the Polaris, and then we also, in the past, our awards were a nice acrylic kind of shooting star. They were those for as long as I can remember. And we have a Polaris, and we also have a Capella Award, which is, and then like the second place, obviously, and we'd give a trophy for each of those. Well, this past year, we did the Polaris Award, which is with the blue trophy award, and then we did the Capella as a plaque. And we decided to go that route because it's about the Polaris Award, and the Capella is really kind of best in show, second place, which is also, I mean, I've received several Capellas, and Polaris is always an honor. So people were disappointed, kind of. I got some feedback that we did not give an actual trophy for Polaris and Capella, that we transitioned for the Capella to be more a mounted certificate, which was still nice. I wish we had a picture of it. But we're still going to move forward with it this year, and I think it just gives more people to say, hey, well then let's enter better entries and learn how to put, read your feedback from the judging from last time and see how you can improve your entry for the following year and get an actual award, a Polaris Award.
I have to say the funniest quote when we were debating this as a board, if we get rid of because we were going sort of 4 tiers down. It was Best in Show, the Polaris, the Capella. So all 3 of those are getting awards, and then we did like a what would you call it, Hillary? A thanks for entering, like an honorable mention, but in reality,
Yeah.
on the score sheets, it was C work. And one of our board members was hilarious. She said, "Why are we giving trophies for B and C work?" So she she was ready to get rid of it anyway. So I thought that was very funny. Jenny, does Orange County have, how many layers of awards do you have?
Yeah, so we have the Protos and we have the Award of Excellence. And so if you look at this screen, see the one that's a little taller that has just like
Right.
that one? That is the Protos. And then the one next to it is what we've made into our Award of Excellence, right? Yep, right there.
Okay.
And it's smaller. It's probably like 4 inches with like an inch base, whereas the other one probably stands about 8 inches tall. The previous ones were like 12 inches. They were very large and prominent. But we wanted, I go back to your comment about we should be awarding the best, and I think a second place or award of excellence / honorable mention is okay, but to have multiple layers, that does kind of take away from the best work that we're doing, because if everybody does the best work and scores the highest, they're all going to get the best award. I'm curious what you're doing a certificate as your second place now, or you're doing a plaque?
It's a plaque.
Okay.
So yeah, it's a plaque, and that's what we did last year. It kind of, the plaque, it's a wood base, and then like it has plastic, or like the plastic over it, but like inside looks like a certificate. But they're only, I think they're 8.5 by 5, maybe 8.5 by 5.5, just really small. But we're more than happy. I believe Aaron's going to be putting some samples of stuff to share with the attendees or people who are listening in. So I'll see if I can get a picture of the Capella to put on there just for reference.
Okay.
And people are comfortable with getting a plaque. They just didn't care for the certificate.
Right.
Okay.
Let's see. We're doing good on time. We've covered the trophy. If you have any questions, let me know. Kevin from the Las Vegas chapter had mentioned they're going digital with WordPress and Ninja Forms, much cheaper than Omni. So I'd never heard of that. So Ninja Forms, let me see if I can find the website. Do you know the website on that, Kevin, by chance? You can text me and I'll put it in I have a word sheet. I'm collecting all the links as we're talking, and I'm going to place it in that folder. That'd be awesome. Let's chat about sponsorships. I don't know other people's experience with sponsors, and we've been very lucky to have somebody. Last year we had 2 levels, and one was very interesting, and we had to create something new. And then we've had a good supporter for several years in a row, Westbound Communications. They've been great. But ideas on sponsorships, maybe thinking outside the box. Orange County, what do they do do you guys have a strong sponsorship? Is it corporate? Is it service providers? What do you guys do?
Yeah, so historically, we would always have sort of a presenting sponsor. So they usually come in with maybe, I don't know, maybe $5,000 or value of $5,000. They'd get recognized on everything, and obviously that helped fund our event and probably some of the decor and maybe even entertainment. But we really are starting to modify this because we've been looking at chapter sponsorships, and it's a challenge if you're trying to look at an event sponsor versus a chapter sponsor, where you could sort of build a reservoir of funds from sponsors. As a chapter sponsor, I think you could give wider recognition and include the award ceremony as one of those spaces, but there's different schools of thought there. Right now, our sponsors, we've had strong following and involvement by Business Wire, and I know they're a national sponsor, so we try to tap into them. They want to do more for less, but we're trying to work with them to give them prominence, but also get their support, and even if it's providing publicity for us. Other sponsors of late are PR firms, Westbound being one of them, because I know they're both here and in Inland Empire. But I'd say we get less and less. We have quite a bit of PR firms here, and they'll donate items for silent auctions from their clientele, but being a sponsor of our chapter events is not usually something they're interested in anymore. They'll buy a table maybe for attending, and they'll enter the awards, but we're trying to look at a broader range of sponsorships like audio-visual, graphics and printing for our materials, and so it's and then just trying to get in-kind things such as entertainment if you want to have a performance or music and that kind of thing.
Sure, and man, I'm glad to hear that we're not the only ones struggling with sponsorships. 10 years ago, it seemed like it was a lot easier, and actually last year we canceled our silent auction. We didn't even do it because you really have to sit down and look at how much you made and then how much time it took volunteers to put it together, and you're like, oh my gosh, what a waste of time, only to earn that much money. And to be honest, some of the stuff we were getting was a little bit lame too. So is that fair, Hillary?
Yes. Yeah. And Jenny did bring up we do, Inland Empire also sells table sponsorship. So for a table of 8, it's $500. And also last year, I would love to see for this year to have more we introduced having reached out to our local casino, and they donated VIP bags, and they all had nice gifts in them. So that's something I would like to work on for this year, that if people are putting together an awards program, people are buying tickets to go. It's a nice evening out, and so looking to kind of, put something at everyone's seat, something rather than doing that silent auction. We did that VIP bag, so continue to elevate our members' experience. It's a night out on the town. It's an awards ceremony. And last year we had a jazz what kind of band was that? It was a singer and everything.
Yeah, it was a jazz band. He did more like not Harry Connick Jr., Frank Sinatra style.
Yeah. So, and it was really well received. So if people are playing on their program, trying to get an in-kind sponsor, maybe to sponsor the band. We paid it, but that's something we'll look to see if we can have someone sponsor the band or something.
Jenny, what is your silent auction like? Like how many items, and do you sort of limit it? Like if it's sucky, like everybody always tries to donate the Christmas lotion that they aren't going to use.
Yeah. We actually have had pretty good success with the silent auction, but I do agree with you that it is a ton of work, and I don't know that it always brings in that much revenue. What we have used our silent auction for was to raise funds for scholarships for college, graduating college students. And so that is one way that we've helped fund our scholarship line item. And so it kind of made sense, but I'd say in the last couple of years we made a couple of $1,000s on that, and we've been fortunate we have some pretty large companies here that donate every year, including some of our major tourist attractions, so that helps a lot. But when we do get smaller items, we just try to throw those in a gift basket with something bigger that's just like, okay, they're getting recognition. But we try to request specific items, and one year we did a VIP bag, as Hillary mentioned, and I do think that's an added incentive for those attending the event to show off various businesses and give them a little takeaway. And I think that's a great way to add in those extra items that are easy for companies to donate. But we usually put out a letter of request for silent auction items, and we've had very good luck of people just sending us stuff.
I don't feel like, maybe you need to give us your list, because I don't feel like it's gone very well for us.
Well, then they won't.
And honestly, it's having well, and the thing is finding the time, having a dedicated person on the committee to actually send it out within 6 months ahead of time, rather than sending, you can't send out donation requests 2 weeks before the event.
Yeah, true.
So always having.
And you talk about building an awesome awards team. If you don't have someone that can stay on top of that and put it all together, then it's probably more work than it's worth.
Yeah, I guess we can just segue right there into sort of the team. How big is Orange County's team?
For the awards?
Mm-hmm.
We tend to have a co-chair and a chair, or 2 co-chairs, I should say, and that started a few years ago because that helps divide up sort of the overall planning, and then someone that's going to help with more of the logistical and securing, like maybe just the entertainment side, or just working with the caterer, for example, and some of those needs. And then we'll have someone that is in, I'm going to say like 5 as a core group, but someone who handles all of the entries, the judging. So they work with the reciprocal chapter. They handle getting all of our entries in and making sure the reciprocal chapter does the judging, and then they probably have someone helping them with ordering all the trophies and managing that piece.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes we've had a person that's kind of in charge of, decor, entertainment, that kind of stuff, and then we've got your sponsorship person, which we've divided into sponsorships and silent auction in the past.
Okay. And Hillary, what's our team look like?
For Inland Empire, we had about 3 or 4 people involved last year. Last year, Aaron, as the president, wanted to split up the duties because usually the Polaris Award Committee usually just ends up being one person who does it all. So last year I worked closely with our other board member, Michelle, so she was responsible for the awards portion, whereas I was responsible for just booking the venue and then handling. I wanted to be more involved with the handling of the entries since it was new and the digital component. And then so for this year I will be doing the same thing, and she'll be responsible for the awards. And then we have committee members who help with the script, doing the PowerPoint presentation, kind of when it's getting close to the event, once everything has been determined on who's winning and that stuff.
Let's chat about speakers a little bit. Is it important to have a professional paid-for speaker? Let's chat about what we've done and what worked and what hasn't. Orange County, you want to start?
Sure. In my years involved, I don't recall paying anyone to be a MC or speaker at the event. We have had good experience with offering the stage as a part of a sponsorship. So, for example, when Disney was a sponsor with us a couple years ago, we allowed them time to have their CEO speak, which is also someone that people want to hear from. But we've discuss this every year. I think that our surveys tell us it's somewhat of a draw, depending on who your MC is, but it's more important that they're just engaging and help keep the program going. So we've had our own chapter members, more senior level chapter members who kind of work together, and that went well. We've had, broadcast media do it, that went well. But I think the bottom line is it doesn't make or break people attending. It could make or break the event if they're not a good MC, but I personally do not think it's necessary to pay someone because, again, that just adds to your budget.
Hillary, what do we do?
Yeah. From the Inland Empire standpoint, we've had broadcast personalities. We've had board members present. We have not, last year we did pay actually a radio personality, but I think we paid like $200 for her to come out, and she did a great job. It is our chapter's 50th anniversary this year, so we are looking to bring back our past presidents and do a more of, do the presentation, some of the MC. Years ago, we've had horrible experiences with MCs, and it was more of a presentation. And since at one point, it seemed like our awards program became like a luncheon because they were talking and like doing more talking about them and professional development. So over the years, we've steered away from that and just been like more of a welcome. This is awards. People are here to gain awards. They're not here to do professional development. So we've learned that over the years. So this year, we're going to bring back all our past presidents just to celebrate the 50 years of our chapter.
Congratulations. That's exciting.
Yeah. Las Vegas, Kevin says they've used TV news anchors, and yet one year we had anchors introduce local PR pros to announce the winners. And that, I think that's a good mix of it as well. Because if the MC that's sort of running the night is low energy and blah, it it does affect the energy in the room, and it can just be really so something to think about. Let's talk. It's just one of the bane of my existences, and I don't understand my existences, like I have multiple ones at the same time. Pictures. So when somebody wins an award and there's that awkward silence as they're coming up to the stage to take a picture. I don't know, Jenny, if you guys do this. Do you do that sort of formal picture with the presenter?
Yes.
What do you do to fill the space?
Well, I think we've done it a few different ways, and actually a couple years ago, we just had a backdrop. We've done this a few times. We have a backdrop set up so that as soon as you get your award, shake hands. I guess I should say we don't do necessarily a posed picture every time, but we have someone capturing that here, handing the trophy over, because we've done it whereas the MC announces it, but then there's like, the people standing up there that are handing the trophy over, so they get them in the picture, and then we send them off to the side, and then there's like a backdrop, and then we get more of a formal picture there with them holding their trophy. So I guess we've done it both ways.
Have you?
But it's important to keep the program moving, so I
Right.
see also what you're getting at.
Do you think people like the whole, like, hey, I'm getting an award from the presenter, or do you think they would just like the backdrop and take it as a group? I haven't thought about that. That's why I'm asking.
Depends who the presenter is.
Yeah, I mean, if they're just taking pictures with you, Aaron, it's not really exciting.
Well, that's what happened last year, and it was so uncomfortable because there's a little bit of a walk-up. I think we had over 100 people there. So if they were in the back of the room, the award was announced, they had to walk up, and it was a little bit of a jaunt. And then we had a photographer that was having a hard time with the focus or something, so it was uncomfortable.
Yeah, but I like the idea, Jenny, and other chapters maybe should consider doing more of, if you do have a step and repeat, or if there's something you can hang in the back that has more of a, so they're off and then we're moving the program and doing a backdrop. That's maybe something we will consider for this year. And while we're on the photography point, we've used the same photographer for many, many years, and we don't get the photos until like 2 weeks later on a CD. Jenny, do you have any experience, or how do you handle your photography for the events? Do you put them up on the website within the day or two on Flickr, or what's the process for that?
We usually do get a photographer that hopefully is willing to donate their services, but they've been able to turn them around pretty quickly, and then we'll just, upload them. As far as I can recall, I know I usually make that an important component of the services is how quickly can you turn these around, because people want to see them right away. But one of the challenges we do have that I think goes along with that is you want to show it off right away, and people that maybe didn't attend but knew the awards were happening want to see what the results were right away. So being able to post photos of the event along with, the list of winners, like pretty much immediately, I think is really important as a benefit to all those that have a vested interest. And but we try to post them right away on social media and then create an album on our website. But I think the other thing that's been kind of fun is with all the social media availability is if you hashtag, OCPRSA, it goes right onto our website and to our feed on the homepage. So that's everybody's photos.
Right.
Okay.
Can you do that, Aaron? Yeah.
Yeah, just make that happen. Let's talk about a timeline. What is a relaxed, responsible amount of time you should allot yourself to do a good awards program? Hillary, you want to go first?
Well, our awards program is in November, our ceremony, and we start planning. My timetable usually kicks off around May into June, start booking the facility, but entries start in August and September, so July through September is pretty much a call for entries. So pretty much kicking off from April to December is kind of a lot of the planning process. And I think it's important, and I'm more than happy to provide a timetable for committees of a task list that I've used over the years. That's helpful, so when someone new comes on board, or at least when I looked back the other day saying, oh my gosh, I should be doing something right now, it's a good reminder of where you should be and what you should be doing.
Yeah, that would be great. If you send that to me, I'll put it in that folder for everybody. How about you, Jenny?
I am excited because this is the first year we moved our awards to later in the year, and that was something that we realized in the last few years it's very difficult to, get a new board and a new awards chair starting in January for an event that's in June, and all of that goes involved with it. Because I'd say a 6-month timeline is probably great, but when you're working up against other deadlines like not even deadlines, other situations like the summertime and so forth, that you just end up having a lot of challenges with costs, number one, trying to get a venue, and just other people's availability and involvement. And we wanted to have more breathing room to really develop a budget and feel comfortable with having enough time to look for the venues and make the right choices. And so I think 6 months is good, and you definitely have to build. We have a timeline similar to what I think Hillary mentions, is just so you know you have enough turnaround time once you get the awards in, and having the time for judging, and of course ordering your trophies far enough in advance. But also, I think a key to the timeline is having a date picked out so the sponsors that you do get most bang for their buck, because you can advertise them along the way.
Exactly. I wanted to bring up, we also pushed back. We sort of made our awards, we pushed it to November, and we were doing it in October for a long time. And I like it because it's sort of like our last big hurrah of the year. We've started to introduce, thank the old board, and we introduced the new incoming board, which typically have their board kickoff somewhere in December. We present, last year we started presenting our APR pins. We do sort of a formal recognition. So we're doing a few things, business things at that event, but I think it gets the board members to know, like, yeah, new board members, you need to be there. Old board members, you need to be there. It's sort of built in an audience. And then it also, we recently just restarted our APR program here in the Inland Empire. We've only had it up and running for a couple years, so it sort of adds prestige and a little bit more formality, which I think is going to be a nice addition. So maybe think about throwing that kind of stuff in there as well. Might build in some audience and some APR, sort of build some, what's the word I'm looking for? Not just prestige, but get people excited about it, make it more special. Marketing. Can you tell me the mix that you do, print? Do you send out a postcard, a mailer? Do you do tons of emails, webinars, whatever it is? Let's cover that. Or let's do Jenny first.
Okay. So we stopped doing mailers about 2 or 3 years, I think 3 years ago, and just mainly to save on the cost, and we just didn't think it was necessary. It's nice, but we didn't think it was necessary, especially because of the cost. And so we do emails. We'll do like individual e-blasts to, members, non-members, just announcing the event, announcing when awards are due. And then it's always in our newsletter leading up to the event and the due dates and everything, but at key points to remind people that award entries are due and to remind them to RSVP to the event, we'll do individual blasts. Obviously, there's an event page on our website. We are using social media more frequently, Twitter and Facebook, for those types of announcements. And then we did a webinar about 2 weeks ago that was for how to enter using Dropbox, similar to what it sounds like you've done. I think that's super beneficial, and then that can be posted online to help people understand how to enter the process and so forth. But that's pretty much all the marketing other than mentioning it at events.
Very good. Okay. Yeah, I see this video. Oh, and Ted's doing it. Oh, great.
Hello, Ted.
Hillary, how about us?
So last year, because we did a mailer, just a postcard call for entries, and then a print invitation that was also mailed, but the rest of it was just through email blasts. This year, we are going to do another mailer for the call for entries as well as the invitation. I just think it's easy to do, but we're so inundated with email messages that I just kind of overlook things sometimes. And if I get something in the mail, I get very excited. So, so we're doing that. And then also a master graphic designer. He is doing a Facebook image, a Twitter profile, something for our website. So there's actually shareable artwork that we're posting that will live on our Facebook as well as website and everything like that. So there'll be a call for entries, marketing, and then change it to the dinner part for the ceremony later. And we'll start advertising that in October.
Very good. I guess we're about done. finished. Let's just go around real quick and do any top do's and don'ts that we missed as we finish up. And if you have any questions for those doing live right now, just let me know and I'll ask. Hillary, you want to start this round off?
Top do's and don'ts. Yeah, I don't have anything right away. I think we've covered a lot. I'm trying to think. I'm like,
we've
what
covered
did
a
I
lot.
not cover? I'm like, I just think take the time. It's a lot. Being as a volunteer, as we all know for this chapter, it takes a lot of time. But if you're doing this Polaris Award, think about when you used to just be a member and submitting for these awards. It's a big deal, and it took a lot of time and work. And then when you show your boss and your coworkers that trophy, it's very rewarding. So when you're planning these events, think about the ease of your members, like going digital, so much easier. And respond and correspond with the members to say, hey, I got your entry, and do a follow-up survey. I definitely recommend doing a follow-up survey after the event just to see what you can improve on, because I'm looking at those comments for this year to see what we can do better.
Survey, I love it. Jenny, how about you?
Yeah, I would just say committees are important just as much as the budget. You don't want to do this big event all by yourself. A lot of people care about it and think it's a great event, so they probably want to be involved if they can. And it's a lot to take on, and to ensure that you're not overwhelmed. Get other people involved, and then it becomes more exciting for everybody for the event. And I think it's really beneficial to have a committee that you can break things into pieces.
Yeah, you just don't want to burn people out and then have them disappear and not be able to pass on that information. That's definitely something that we've dealt with, and that's really scary, and where you make $3,000 mistakes. And as nonprofit volunteer organizations, that is not good.
Do you have a resource that you pass along to each chair every year? Because that would be super helpful to share amongst chapters.
Well, I know Aaron actually implemented as president. The national chapter has a website where all your resources can be, and so we backfilled it with a lot of information. So, like for me, passing on the information I have for these last couple of years will be all uploaded and saved on there. And I think it's important, as part of the new board coming on, meeting with those individuals. I think our presidents the last couple of years have been very making sure you guys meet for coffee, give them the download, and any information. I think everyone's pretty close around here that there's been a lot of good correspondence in between transitions the last couple of years.
Yeah, I didn't even think about covering that, and I'll do that really fast, because some people might not even know this exists. And the only thing I don't know is that if you're on a committee and you're not on the board, I don't know if you have access to this, but it's important. When I think some people didn't even want to become president, because here in the Inland Empire, when you did, you got like 5 boxes of history.
Mm-hmm.
And we started losing things too. So there was like big holes in our history, and it was really sad. I think some people became president, they're like, okay, why am I carrying this stuff around from the 80s? And they just tossed it. And it's just too bad, because we lost a lot of history. But on the national website, you've got this huge like FTP website. And let me see if I can, it's under My Volunteer Resources, Chapter Dashboard.
You just log in as yourself.
Right. And then My Chapter Files under the doc share, we really got organized. So if I went to, let's see.
Go to Polaris. Well, let's see if I haven't uploaded anything from last year.
You might not have, but the point being is like,
oh yeah, 2014.
Yeah, Polaris 05, 06, 07. And then in a lot of our folders, what we did was, hang on, let me go back to chapter files. And I think, let me go back to the parent folder, and I'm trying to think of who would have it. Membership. Yes, here we have. So we have membership by year, and then we have a membership tools and templates. And technically, that should be where all like the timelines would be, and the go-to spot for whoever is new in that position, where the year to year is going to be sort of the artwork specific to the programs, pictures of speakers or whatever. There's no limit as far as I know. So I personally scanned and uploaded 3.5 gigs of information, and I threw away, I think, 4 boxes. So.
Yeah, I used to have those boxes in my garage too. My husband's like, why do you involve a PRSA? Whose stuff is this? So I highly recommend any of the chapters, people involved, listening in to look at this as an option. And it's good for committee stuff.
Yeah. Okay, we've run out of time. Thank you so much to two of you for doing this. Hopefully those in attendance found it helpful, and then hopefully more people. This will probably be around for a couple years before we redo it again. So thank you for your time. If you have any follow-up questions, you can email me directly at Aaron, Aaron, at thenorrisgroup.com. And this will hopefully be somewhere on the PRSA Western District website shortly. So have a great Thursday, everyone, and look forward to I don't know, we'll have to email out to see what our next webinar is going to be on.
Okay,
Thanks,
happy
everyone.
award planning.